Hi there. My name is Matthew Jellick, and I'm a lecturer in the Center for Language Education at Southern University of Science and Technology, here in beautiful Shenzhen, China. Note-taking in lectures. Note-taking is an essential learning skill for college students. Taking effective lecture notes is a significant factor leading to academic success. In this lesson, we'll discuss why note-taking is important, when to take notes, and how note-taking will benefit you in lectures. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to discuss why note-taking is important. Learn to look for clues that signal key points to take notes on. Learn to use abbreviations and symbols to take notes quickly. Learn to use 3 note-taking methods. College students, like yourself, take notes for a variety of reasons. First of all, notes help you keep a record of what you have listened to. This is useful when reviewing in the future for examinations or for other reasons. Secondly, when you're listening to a lecture, taking notes helps you concentrate. It forces you to listen carefully and test your understanding of the material. Next, taking lecture notes forces you to interpret, to condense, to organize the information that's presented. These processes make note-taking very active and help you understand, learn, and know the information given during the lecture. Note-taking is a very personal process. And the thing is, there's no best system. But there are 3 basic rules that can help you take note-taking rather quickly and more efficiently. Rule number 1, be selective. Do not try to write down every word. Rather, only write down the major points and important information. Rule number 2, be brief. Keep your notes brief and use abbreviations and symbols instead of words. Rule number 3, be clear. The relationship between the ideas in a lecture are important, and the notes need to reflect this. We'll introduce 3 common ways of representing these relationships later. One of the key skills in note-taking is to be selective. That is, deciding what is important according to the speaker as well as to the listener's knowledge of the subject. Instructors will usually give clues to what is important to take down. Some of the more common clues are: number 1, instructors usually pause before or after an important idea. Number 2, instructors often use repetition to emphasize an important point. Number 3, instructors use different ways to emphasize. There can be a louder tone of voice, slowing down, strong gestures, and the amount of time they spend on the topic. Number 4, instructors also use word signals. For example, a point to remember or a critical consideration. Number 5, instructors tend to write down important ideas on the board, on the overhead, or on the PowerPoint. Abbreviations and symbols act as time-saving devices and are used to make notes more quickly to allow you to keep pace with the lecturers. Try to use meaningful symbols when possible. For instance, use an arrow to indicate results. Use an equal sign to indicate equivalency. Here are some other common symbols used in note-taking. Abbreviations are another very effective tool in note-taking, enabling us to express complex ideas in a time-efficient way. Look at these common abbreviations and their corresponding meanings. Almost any word can be shortened during note-taking. Here are some ideas on how to do this. One way to shorten a word is to use just the beginning of the word. For example, GOV for government, DIFF for difference. Another way is to leave out the vowels. For example, GVT for government, MKT for market. Other than standardized symbols and abbreviations, it's also important to develop your own system of abbreviations and symbols. You can start by making a list of words that are common in your academic field and make up some abbreviations for them. To take notes clearly requires you to show how the ideas recorded are related to each other. Layout is important for you to understand your notes sometimes later. We will introduce three common formats of note-taking: linear notes, mind mapping, and Cornell notes. Linear notes are the simplest and therefore the most common style of notes. The word linear indicates that these notes are written down on the page, one line after another. This type of note is sometimes called outline notes, as they are similar in format to the outline you would do for an essay. Look at this example of linear notes. Two common features of this style of notes are the use of numbering or lettering and indentation. The use of numbering and lettering and indentation is important to help distinguish the main points from the minor ones. The use of indentation also helps to make the important information more visual. The second method of note-taking is mind mapping. A mind map is a type of graphic organizer that allows you to create a visual representation of ideas and concepts of the content of a lecture. It is a diagram in which the ideas are linked to each other by lines, usually starting from the middle and working their way outwards. Although it can be used at any time, it is best when there's one central topic with several subtopics related to it. An example of a mind map is given here. In this mind map, the central topic is air pollution, and there are 4 subtopics related to air pollution, namely sources, causes, effects, and solution of air pollution. The Cornell method is a particular method of note-taking, rather than a separate style. It was developed by a professor at Cornell University and is especially common at universities in America. To take Cornell notes, you divide your paper into 3 sections as shown in the diagram here. Notes go on the right side of the page, questions are added on the left, while a summary is at the bottom. First, put today's date and the topic of the lecture at the top of the page. In the note-taking area, you are recording everything you feel important from the lecture: main ideas, supporting details, examples. In the left column, write down relevant questions and key words. Cues can be written in the lecture or soon after the lecture. Writing questions and key ideas helps you to clarify meanings, reveal relationships, and strengthen memory. This cue column will also help you in the future for your final review. Finally, within 48 hours of the lecture, you should thoughtfully reflect on what you learned and summarize each page into 2 or 3 sentences in the bottom section. This is a great way of making sure the lecture's content is stored in your long-term memory. It also helps you recall information in a condensed form, which is great for exams. To take today's lesson as an example, the page of a Cornell notes might look something like this. So, in summary, there are 3 main formats of notes: linear notes, mind maps, and Cornell notes. Whichever way you use them, you should still try to make the notes as selective and brief as possible, and ensure that the connections between the ideas is also clear, so that you will be able to use your notes later. Note-taking is a skill we all need to develop. The more you practice, the more proficient you will become. If you select a method and use it often, you can really improve your technique. With good note-taking techniques, you will soon be able to record your notes to your satisfaction and have a great study tool to use when preparing for your assignments and exams.